Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Well, good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. It is Inside the Game here, episode number 200 here on this Tuesday morning. That's right. We have done 199 previous shows leading up to today. Today is officially our 200th, and we are happy to bring that to you live here once again here on this Tuesday morning. And Nathan, if I look back at, the 199 other episodes, I have memories. Some are a blur. A lot of things we talked about. Some nonsense, to be fair. I mean, we were just, if only people could see the nonsense we talk about prior to the start of our shows. Because for like 15 minutes there, we were just sitting there talking about how Ryan's grandfather told him many, many years ago, the rule of the family, which the rule, to be fair, in Metro Detroit, I would argue there's probably a lot of grandparents, either siblings, whatever you want to call it, family that are like, you cannot buy anything but the big three. You got to buy anything. They got to buy American. Got to buy American.
Yep.
Build tough. Built
Ford tough.
Yeah, built tough, right? And I'm sitting there going, Ryan, what do you got? What are you driving? He's like, I drive a Chevy Trax. I go, what year? 2024. Okay, cool. That was built in South Korea, my guy. It was Ford built. It's built Ford tough.
Yep.
Well,
they outsource that labor.
Ford tough.
Outsource that labor. Yeah,
that's
tough
right,
thing
that's
is
right.
like
I just always find it funny when people are like, oh yeah, you got to. But no, that was probably not built here. But either way, 200 episodes.
Stuff's not built here.
A lot of stuff's not. It's true. It's true. If we truly,
I'm sure any of the clothes I'm wearing at the moment are not American built or American made.
That is.
My shoes were definitely not built here. That's for sure.
Definitely not. See, again, the nonsense. This is I'm not going to remember. In at the 400th episode, it's just not going to happen, right? But either way, we're excited to have you along here this morning. A lot of things to get to today. We'll talk about this show. Some changes are coming to the show. We'll talk about what that looks like as well here throughout this show. But before we dive in, it snowed here over the weekend. I don't know if you see behind me. It snowed here in Michigan. Snowmageddon maybe was what they were talking about here over the weekend.
Horrible.
It did not happen as they said it would. They said, I think, between 3 to 6 inches. I think we got an inch, maybe 2 inches of snow here on the ground between Saturday night and Sunday morning. I believe we're expected to have another 2 or 3 inches here tonight. Is what they're saying. So we'll get like a half an inch. But with that being said, though, it's getting colder, right? I mean, I would say 6 weeks ago, Nathan, we were looking at 80-degree weather here in Michigan. I mean, it's not too far off that. We were like 80 degrees here in October. And here we are the first week of December. It's cold. It's 20 degrees outside, and it's snowing.
Yep. And, I mean, you guys speak for yourself. I mean, you live over on the east side, so you're only going to get like a dusting sometimes. Some of us get buried, like over here. We got that lake effect going on, and that was the case a few nights ago. So, no, it's officially here. It's officially cold as hell. We're into the nitty-gritty now of the winter season. But ain't too bad, I guess, now that we're into December. Like, feels like the perfect time to actually transition into the cold stuff. I want a white Christmas, man. I feel like we've had a bad streak of not having those, so I'm actually kind of excited about that. But yeah, just on the show part of this conversation, I think when I initially took over our just kind of promoting of the show and sharing of our clips and whatever on social media, I think we had like a total of like 89 followers on TikTok. I mean, something not where we wanted it to be, and now we're all the way up to 941 followers, and we've seen our show go through many different segments. Obviously it started with you and I on StreamYard, which was a very bare bones setup kind of. Obviously we had an intro and everything, but we were just trying to kind of figure it out, and then we add people and we start doing more things, and then we kind of take a step back, and then we come back and we switch over here to VMix, and then we add Ryan, who's been an unbelievable addition, especially on the social media side. I think him and I in tandem has been really, really good for what we've been trying to do in terms of just get our voice out there. Yeah, you're welcome, man. You've done a great job.
You too, Nate. Making me cry over here.
But since adding him, and then like I said, there's been so many ebbs and flows and ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster. But I've kind of said this since the beginning. Like sometimes it takes creators, podcasters, years, to really get to that level that they want to get to. But I feel like we've kind of built a system and a machine now that's kind of building off of itself. So it's fun to watch. And obviously we're not done yet.
No, we're definitely not done yet. I was going to make this comment real quick. Nate, how does it make you feel to know that you have a more American car than Ryan?
I just like Hondas simply because, and I don't, it's tough to convince a true blue-blooded American through and through that I just think Japanese car manufacturing is just better. I just like Hondas just because they last, man. And if you take care of them, they're going to be good to you. I've had Chevys and Fords before. My Chevy Impala is my second ever favorite car. All right. So like, I'll agree with Ryan here on that much. Loved my Impala once upon a time, but no, man, it's never as black and white. Like back in the day, I'm sure that's the reason why your grandpa told you not to buy from, or like your family, like we're not buying from anything but the big three. Because I also know another family that's like
Ford
that. But like,
company, so that may have played a factor.
Yeah, but right. So he played for Ford. Well, played for. Jeez, it is a sports podcast. He worked for
I know.
Motor Company, and so he worked for him. But I'm sure a lot of the actual manufacturing part of it was in Michigan, because like Detroit used to be the hub for building cars and everything. That's why it's the Motor City. But then obviously we get a little further on down the line. CEOs get a little more greedy. They're like, we got a bottom line we have to meet. Why do we have to pay for X amount of vacation time for our American manufacturers when we can just send it overseas and make it for half the price? So I just, I don't know. It's different in 2025, I suppose.
It is. It's a different world. We have a lot to get to here this morning. We are on episode number 200 here today of Inside the Game. Don't go anywhere. It will continue here on the other side.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back this morning to Inside the Game, number 200 on the National Soccer Network. I'm Jonathan Turner, Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. We have some comments coming in across all of our platforms here this morning. Pete Mazfoto, which I believe is Peter from Chicago. I don't know, maybe it used to be Midwest. Maybe I'm wrong, but happy 200th. We haven't seen Pete a minute, Peter. Jackson Stevens says, let's go Utica FC. Utica FC is in the Major Arena Soccer League. We happen to be distribute their broadcasts here on our platform, so appreciate that. This is slightly inappropriate, but I'm still going to read it. It's so cold, your nipples are the corner posts.
Corner posts. Okay.
As Jackson says, love you guys. Follow you on YouTube and TikTok. And then there was, so the comments maybe about maybe not being able to hear you. But hey, we appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. We love talking here with our viewers throughout the show. Last night, U.S. Women's National Team finished out their 2025 in winning fashion, very much like the U.S. Men's National Team did here just last week. And Ryan, we had a chance to kind of talk about this a little bit. I almost feel like on some level, again, with all the things that are happening right now in the World Cup, that we just completely forget about the women's side of the game. And it sounds terrible to say that, but I'm going to sit here and admit it right now. I had no idea they were playing yesterday.
Neither did I. I was telling you, the only reason I knew that they were playing was I came downstairs and I didn't come downstairs. I walked in the house after working out and I was like, oh, the U.S. men's national team's playing. I was like, that's not international break. And I was like, oh, it's the women's. And then they scored a really good goal. I watched the first goal. It was actually really nice. And then I didn't watch. But I honestly think what it is, at least for me, this is what I think, is I think that no one watches a ton of the women's club game, like the women's pro teams. I'm not sure to say like travel teams, but like the professional travel teams. Compared to the amount of people that watch the men's overseas in the Champions League and all that, I don't think that amount of people watch the women's pro teams or whatever you want to call them, their club teams, because I think that the men's team, when they're on international break, because you'll look at the schedule and be like, oh wow, they're not playing this weekend, so they must be on international break. So I just don't think that those clubs have the same amount of following as those men's teams do. I mean, you look at the Real Madrid and Barcelona followings; they're insane compared to what these women's pro teams have. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I don't, maybe. I mean, I look at it and say that, I mean, the NWSL had an 22% increase in the previous year in viewership. They averaged 500,000 viewers per game across their championship, their playoffs. They had over 20 million viewership during the entire regular season. I go, so that's a strong number. Now, is that MLS? No, but it's still strong. I think, again, marketing. If I'm not seeing it and I'm in soccer, that's a problem. It should be all over my feeds. It should be over everything. I mean, I'm literally looking at soccer all the time, and I'm not being reminded of it. And so if I'm not being reminded of it, who else is not being reminded of it? It's a market. It's an algorithm marketing thing. I don't know. Everywhere I look, I see World Cup stuff. I see MLS. I see U.S. Men's National Team. I didn't see this at all on any of my feeds. And again, that to me is a problem. It's concerning. And so if we try to have a calendar of things that are happening internationally on our board, this just wasn't on it yesterday. And I know they played also on Saturday. And so, again, I'm sorry we missed this. We put an article out this morning on our website, but we should have absolutely been talking about this window for the women's national team. We just didn't do it.
I think it's fair to say that maybe we just take them for granted too. I think sometimes we take the women's side for granted. That we shouldn't, and you mentioned that. But in my opinion, I just think that's something that we just do simply because there's an assumption there that they are the best in the world and they have been the best in the world. And that's just not the truth. That's not the way the storyline is played out. The last time they were at the Women's World Cup, last time they were at the Olympics, it was not like that. And so there's actually a little bit of a vengeance story here for U.S. women's soccer and trying to reestablish their position atop the mountain. And what's wild to me is that their pool of players is actually far more vast now than what it was even the last time they went to the World Cup. I mean, you think about Emma Hayes. Okay, so I think last night was her 30th match as manager of the U.S. women's national team. She's played 50 different players across her time. I think how many different matches? 50 different players along the way. So the player pool is as wide open as it ever has been for this U.S. women's national team. And obviously they just continue to stack wins. And so I think it's funny when we send out these videos on social media and people are like, are we talking about the men's game or the women's game here? Because I think the women's game is perfectly healthy. I think we got a machine that's been churning for a long, long time, and it continues to churn out top-end talent year after year. But the men's side obviously is different. The women's team is trying to reestablish their position atop the mountain. The men's team on the other side is obviously just trying to get into the conversation. So I think sometimes for us and for our purposes, it's not just because it's the women's side that, we just cast it aside, it's not important to us. I just think it's more interesting to talk about the team that isn't expected to maybe get out of the group sometimes versus the team that is more than likely going to try to get back to the top of the mountain. But those conversations are definitely going to pick up because in 2027 is the Women's World Cup. So we're literally stacking this like year after year. So you got 26, you got the men's, 27. Obviously, you have the women's. But we'll take today and we'll take right now to say, yeah, Emma Hayes has built a juggernaut. And now it's just, I mean, you talk about having depth was the big thing we focused on when we referenced the U.S. men's national team, and how now our depth is far greater than it ever has been. And so Mauricio Pochettino has questions that he has to answer. But imagine dealing with a pitch full of superstars, which is what I feel like the U.S. women's national team is. It's tough to get into not just that starting 11, but just that roster in general. So a lot of decisions that Emma Hayes has to make. But yeah, I mean, they looked great again yesterday. Good on possession. They only had a goal, expected goals of 1.22, I think it was. So it's not like they were, really, really pouring it on Italy. But this is always a team that's been really good in possession, and they created when they needed to. So another good win for them yesterday. And again, those conversations about who Emma Hayes is exactly going to pick up come the World Cup in 27 is going to pick up as we get closer.
Yeah, I know we talk about the player pool, and while I think our player pool here in the United States has absolutely gotten bigger and a much larger pool to select from, which is why we've seen 50 players make their way onto the pitch here for Emma Hayes. The ultimate issue has nothing to do with the United States at all, and everything to do with what's happening internationally. It's the complete opposite for women's soccer than it is for men. In the United States, the men are still far behind that of their closest opponent, right? We talk about it all the time. The women, for the longest time, were always 2, maybe 3 steps ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to the talent, the soccer, the style of play, the creativity, all of it. And now that step is gone. And I would argue that, that there's a whole bunch of other countries out there that their pool has gotten significantly bigger. And it's going to create challenges. When we won it in 15, we wanted to get in 19, right? We fell short, obviously, last time around. Are we going to find the same success that we found earlier in the 15-19 run? Though that's going to be a very difficult thing to do moving forward in the Women's World Cup. And I just, as much as we have this big pool now, it's how do we stack up against the pool that's been made bigger across the pond and around the world. And that's where Emma Hayes is going to have her biggest challenge. And one of the reasons why she was hired as well, right? Because, again, this is a coach that understands the international game, and she does a great job for us. I'm curious how it's going to shape up for them in the World Cup in 2027 as well, because, again, the expectation is that they win the World Cup.
They just won the gold medal, too.
Right, that's the expectation for women's soccer in this country is they win a World Cup. Meanwhile, we're going with the men, win the group. It's like it's like they're significantly different order, right? And again, we can even laugh about it now, but we're like, well, can they? Maybe we're kind of like maybe even kind of compromising. Well, okay, maybe finish second, or they could finish third. No, win the World Cup. Like imagine like that expectation. Like we were talking about the Detroit Lions as well, right? Well, it's win or bust, right? Get in the playoffs, win a Super Bowl. That window's probably passed. But if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, every year you walk into that locker room, that team up until like 6 weeks ago was a team that you could sit here and say arguably has a chance every year to win a Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills, as long as the Chiefs are breathing, they will never make it to a Super Bowl. Right? It's like that's their kryptonite, right? The Buffalo Bills cannot get past the Chiefs.
Except in the regular season.
Except in the regular season, yes. There you go. But I just like it's. You think about those types of things, and expectations are everything. Our expectation for the women is that every time they step on the field, they're going to win. And maybe it's complacency. Maybe it's like, hey, you know what? They're that. Do we even watch them because we know they're going to win? Maybe that's part of it too. Like as you mentioned, right? It's just we're so used to seeing them win. then it's like, oh, okay, they won again. Cool. All right, let's wait till the next big, the next.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
but to your point,
they
the gap is
lost. We
closed.
go talk about how terrible they played. No, we'd be like, someone just
Yeah.
got lucky. It's like Ecuador.
To your point, the gap has
Uruguay.
closed.
It's
though.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, the gap is closed, and I think that's what makes 27 all the more interesting. Is I do think that gap in terms of the differences on the international level have changed, and Spain's streaking in the right direction now. I think they've won 6 straight. Sweden's won 4 straight. England's won 7 out of their last 8. Germany's looked really good. They've taken a couple of steps back in their last 5, but. Even in that top 5, it's getting to a point now to where the parity is starting to catch up a little bit. And we're seeing that in a lot of different women's sports too. So
what I would say is, to your point, John, I'm trying to find the name of the coach. But anyway, in the 2019 World Cup, I think I've watched the U.S. World Cup ever since 2011. So 2011, 2015, 2019, then the latest one in 23. And there was a moment that I don't know what I was watching. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was kind of like
Jill Ellis, the coach of Jill.
No, I'm thinking it's It's the whoever the France manager was at the time. I don't remember her name in the 2019 World Cup. But my point is, what I was trying to get here is the French coach. It was I don't know when we were playing them, but it was apparently someone in the TikTok chat said Nate is ugly. That's weird. Wow, and that came from Nathan Wengler. Nate
Come
is
on.
Well, he just changed it to handsome, though. It's maybe a.
Anyway, the French manager in 2019, we played the French in the knockouts. I don't know what round it was. But that manager, after the game, she literally shook the hand of Ellis and walked, and she goes, "I've never seen a U.S. women's national team defend for 90 minutes. I've never seen the amount of players sit behind the she's just saying it. It's not a press conference. She's just on the field and she's mic'd up for something, and she's talking to one of her coaches, and she goes, "The gap is closing." And she said that in 2019, she'd never have seen a U.S. women's team defend for a full 90 minutes and have so many players back behind the ball. And I remember that game. It was a very scrappy game. It wasn't clean. And I think that in terms of the women's game, this is what everyone has said, is that we relied a lot before recent times, is that we relied so much on athleticism. I said America has the best athletes in whatever sport it is. You can go down the line: swimming, football, basketball, maybe not soccer, but overall we have the best athletes in the world. And we relied a lot on athleticism compared to what all the soccer elite out there say. So now I think we've kind of got to change the game a little bit in the way we play, of just kind of that athleticism, beat them for speed, all the quickness and everything. And it's got to turn a little bit more into a tactical masterclass, if you want to call it at this point. But it kind of comes down to a little bit of a chess match, I think, now in terms of the women's game.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think, again, as we talked about this, for many, many years around the world, women's soccer was not a thing, right? And now countries around the world are investing in women's soccer because the United States was the first there, right? And so there's something about being first. And now what do you have to do? You have to find a way to adapt. You have to find a way to evolve. You have to find a way to create an environment in which you can continue to be atop of the game. And it's going to be a challenge. There's still an argument right now about whether or not the NWSL is the top league in the world for women's soccer. And there's obviously, the Premier League now has women's soccer, right, across the pond. And we've seen women come and go to that league. We've seen Alex Morgan go across. We've seen Carly Lloyd go there.
Arsenal reigning Champions League winners.
And so we've seen those. But, is the NWSL right now considered the best women's league in the world? I think right now I would argue it is, because most of the best players in the world are playing here. But, will we see that shift? As Europe continues to pour more money into the women's game, I actually think, because of the foundation that the men's game has had in Europe, I actually think that might overtake the world's game as well on the women's side, and you're going to see a shift. And will it hurt the NWSL? I think it only helps, to be fair. I think it helps the NWSL as they're trying to grow. But it's an interesting conversation to have But I feel like we don't have enough of it because we're just so used to this team just winning. I mean, and a lot of times winning decisively. They beat Italy 2-0, and they beat them 3-0 as well. They beat them 2 games in a row. So very interesting.
Congrats to Emma
Jimmy
Hayes
Coe,
too. You're doing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I said Jimmy Coe says happy 200. Haven't seen Jimmy in a bit, so happy 200 from Jimmy on YouTube. So we appreciate you diving in and saying a few words there for us, and we appreciate you stopping on by here this morning. Go ahead, Nathan.
What's up, Jimmy? Yeah, it's been a minute since we've heard from you. Appreciate you stopping by. No, I'll say I do enjoy Emma Hayes considering herself an honorary American. I saw that interview. She's like, I feel like I'm from here, but I'm not. Obviously, she's from England, but she's really kind of embraced the American way, especially with, taking this team to the next level the way that she has. But if anything, take it as a compliment. The fact that we don't feel like we have to yell at each other on this podcast about your team and what you're doing and your decisions, because you're making all the right decisions. You're just rolling through teams. So it's almost it's better in a way because you don't have nearly as much media pressure, scrutiny, any of those other things. And so I think that's a good thing in terms of, you don't have to worry about that foundation being challenged nearly as much by the talking heads and the media and everyone that's following you. I think about the men's side, like they really have to make a concerted effort to kind of look past a lot of that stuff. And if I was a pro athlete, to be honest with you, unless someone was managing my social media, I don't know how I could have social media, to be completely honest with you. I don't know how I could do it outside of keeping up with family and friends, because the sheer amount of pressure that's on your shoulders is insurmountable. And I know they don't get a ton of that from the American media, but despite how niche the soccer media is in the U.S., they're still pretty harsh on the players that maybe they think they're deserving of it, especially when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. So not having drama in the locker room or in the media is actually a really good thing for Emma Hayes, and I think it shows that she's actually doing a good job in that regard.
Yeah, they also don't have a Gio Reyna that we could argue about. So
yeah, well, I mean,
that's fair.
I don't know. I would argue the pressure for her is probably greater than that of Pochettino. And the reason why I say that is because she's coming into a team that's already won it 4 times.
Yeah.
Right. And so, if that in itself, I mean, and to be fair, I think the hammer would be used a lot quicker, as far as a firing hammer, right? If things don't go well pretty quickly, right? And so I think that but I think the media pressure that we're talking about is not there, right? I think the internal pressure about being successful in that role is extremely, extremely clear and evident, probably for her. I just my thing is this: when it comes to the women's game, especially in this country, is that the game is then the players are I actually think far better than that of the male counterparts.
more better.
They're more better, right? I mean, more better as Ryan would say. But I do believe that they are much better players than the men's side, right? I think it goes to the you have the Girls Academy, ECNL. I think those programs have really created excellent soccer players. And again, in this country, you think about North Carolina, think about the Stanfords of the world. These are the colleges, Santa Clara, that were well-known college women's soccer programs that have been successful. And where do most of your U.S. women's national team players come from when it comes to those colleges? North Carolina, Stanford, Santa Clara, right? They all come from these powerhouse schools that are well-known for teaching and creating that foundation of excellence. And so it's a really cool environment. And again, that pressure that we talk about is real. It's just maybe not the media. The media just has not pressure because, to be fair, there's nothing on the line right now either.
And I think the pathway is just so much easier to understand when it comes to women's soccer too. Like, and we've talked to many of women's soccer players, and they've all said like the dream, the goal is to go play major Division I soccer. Like that's where we want to get. Now in the men's game, it's the Wild West because I feel like there's a split in opinions. I mean, you obviously we talked about how high school is not really looked at. That video's gone nuclear on social media because I think a lot of people realize what Ryan is saying. No one's looking at the high school game, but when you get to college, there's a lot of great players that play in college, but also like That's not the pro pathway, quote unquote. So it's weird when it comes to the men's game. It can be blurry, it can be gray in terms of what the pathway is to get to the highest level. Whereas I feel like the women's side, they have it kind of locked down. Like everybody wants to go play in college, so you realize the best players you're getting, oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes, are playing in the top level college games. So it just seems more clear to me.
No,
more of a vertical climb.
I couldn't agree more. And, hey, a lot more to cover here on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of our broadcast partnerships we announced last night. We'll talk a little bit MASL here. MASL, some 3 games this weekend. We'll talk about that. Also, the history of this show, what's going to continue, and who's going to continue on Inside the Game. We'll get to that and more right here on the National Soccer Network.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs.
From high-quality production to exceptional coverage,
We ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today
call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast.
and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game on this Tuesday morning. Number 200 is the episode number here on this Tuesday morning. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler and Ryan Glinsky, our producer.
What is that? What cup is that?
Yeah, what cup is that? Is that Timmy's or is that Starbucks? Oh, it's Big B.
Oh, we were both
wrong. We were both.
Nate, just so you know, we were doing bets. We were betting on what it was. I
Really?
said Tim Hortons.
I thought it was Starbucks.
All right, so I love Tim Hortons, but I will say I like Big B because you actually get the coffee taste. Dude, Starbucks is just glorified ice cream now. I can't do it anymore.
Well, if you get
You know
black
what I mean?
coffee, it's not going to be glorified ice cream.
Well, I ain't getting black coffee from Starbucks.
Well, then, I
man, if
guess
I'm
that- I
going
guess-
there. I mean, come on, man.
If you're getting a
Spend $7
peppermint
on
mocha
that.
cappuccino, frappo, whatever, you're going to get a whole bunch of other stuff. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I like a hint of coffee in there, though, man. It's just it's too sweet. Can't
Me
do it.
personally, I like it to not taste like coffee at all. So if it was,
I don't
the
like
point?
coffee in general.
right? I mean, matter of fact, the other day, Ryan comes in here and is
You
like,
Red Bull
Johnny's
guy,
like
Ryan?
peppermint mocha for the win.
I did have that. It was pretty good. The one time I've had Starbucks, and I think I said 5 years. It was pretty good.
Do you get
for
overwhelmed
me,
when
I
you
actually
walk in
think
there,
the
Ryan?
start of my diabetes was and I thank my wife for this because I was not a coffee drinker until I met her. And I think we were like 5 years into our marriage, maybe 5 years into our marriage before I started drinking coffee. She's like, John, you should totally try a mocha from Starbucks. and then I got a caramel mocha. That was like double the amount of intake.
All right.
And yes, I was getting those every single day. But yeah, it was.
I used to be yeah. I used to be not big coffee fan just because I got anxiety from the order. Like I would walk in there and I would say what I want, and then they'd ask follow-up questions, and I'd be like, I don't know what to say anymore. I came in with a script of what I was gonna say, and I'm done. So whatever you come out with, I will gladly take off your hands because women go in there and they have like a full NFL playbook of what they want their coffee to look like. down to the exact chemistry of how the beans are roasted.
Yep.
And I'm just like, hey, give me a drink. Surprise me. I don't know.
I'll never forget that scene in I'm drawing a blank on the movie, but Paul Rudd is in it. It's a movie where him and Stifler are in the movie together. I can't.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, I know it's on the.
I think it was Sean something. Well, anyways, he's in the
Role
coffee.
models?
Yeah, role models. Yes.
There you
Yes,
go.
he's in the
Good
coffee
pull.
shop. If we could play that clip, man, I don't care if we get taken down. If you could find that clip is awesome, right? you know,
We're going out
John's
with a
like, if we
bang
get
today.
shut down
I don't
forever, we went
care.
down
John's like, I
to be
ain't gonna
fair,
be here,
it's
so-
worth it. Because that scene is awesome. I think Ryan's trying to find it. This is the great thing about having he can go find it. We can get this thing on there. But the way that Paul Rudd in that scene explains the different sizes of coffee to the barista is probably one of the most epic scenes, I think. It's such a
Yeah.
undervalued scene, I think, in movies.
Oh,
They're talking
no,
about this
that's
venti thing? Is that what it
Yes,
is?
that is. That's exactly it. Yes.
Okay.
You got it?
There's another comedian that's talked about
I gotta,
that too before.
I gotta load it in still, but yeah, just here's one of the new announcements, John. Give us an announcement.
All right. So here we go. Last night it was announced that for the second consecutive year, we will handle all production and broadcasting for the Certified Lions out of Oklahoma City. They call MASL 2 and MASL 3
Hey.
their home. And so that's where they play their leagues. And so we will be bringing that coverage here to the National Soccer Network once again here this winter.
Sorry, guys.
I don't know how to
here's
make a
the horn.
K with my hands. Hold on. I'm trying to do OKC here. OKC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love that sky
doing it
view
last
cam.
year. I still remember to this day, and I love my daughter Brandon to death, but the tears running down her face because the clock is so hard to manage in the MASL.
Oh my goodness.
You don't know when it stopped. It is. And to this day, she still says, she's like, Dad, please do not assign me to an MASL 2 game.
Oh man. I mean, it's like hockey, but worse. I feel like even hockey, they make like, the hand gestures. So you're like, okay, like I know to. Actually, that's some football right there.
They don't do that. They don't do that. But hey, let's. We have that clip now. Ryan has found it. Let's air it.
A large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
No, I mean a large.
He means a venti. Yeah, the biggest one you got.
Venti is large.
No, venti is 20.
Danny.
Yeah. Large is large. In fact, tall is large, and grande is Spanish for large. Venti's the only one that doesn't mean large. It's also the only one that's Italian. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Look, Dick, venti is a large coffee.
Really? Says who? Fellini?
How much is that? Here's a 10.
Do you accept lira, or is it all
You know
euros
what? Just
now?
keep the change. Jesus, Dan, you know what they call the sizes here. You know what? You've been picking fights with everybody. The girl at the party.
She said ASAP.
That's the end of it, man.
ASAP. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a great scene.
Now
Venti
we're
is funny.
flagged.
We're definitely flagged now.
And
but-
now we're flagged. No more YouTube. No more YouTube.
We're
gone.
gone. Yep, we're off
We
the air
done.
now. But I could
that's
not. It's a great scene. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
That'll happen too. You're like large. You're like, you mean venti? It's like, okay, just.
Well, yeah, you gotta be like, hey, I mean,
whatever
and
the
my
biggest
wife
one
when
you
she
got.
orders her coffee, it's like again, you can order like 7 different ways. It's actually considered a quad.
Of course.
Yeah,
but
you have
I
to
say
see
I
it.
want a venti vanilla flat white with an extra shot. But really, I should be asking for a venti quad flat white vanilla.
This is why I don't like coffee. This is why I don't get coffee.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Ryan. I'm like, I agree with you, man. That's why you got to find the one drink you like and then just never sway from it. Just get
That's
it every
right.
time.
That's why I get a venti sugar-free vanilla iced latte.
Starbucks can get
every
sponsor us.
time. Every time.
Anyways, a great announcement that we got in here this morning as it relates to Certified Lions. Again, MASL 2, MASL 3. We are working on a number of other teams within that same league. Hopefully we'll have those announced here in the coming days as well. But it leads us to this point now because obviously for the next couple minutes we want to talk about the history of Inside the Game. And so Something that happened here about 3 or 4 months ago, prior to Ryan being here, I had stepped back from the show. As I had said before, that the reason that I had stepped back was because I had to have my focus in other things. I'm working on a ton of new contracts, which forced me to have to fly out of town or do the things that I have to do in order to run and operate this company. And so I entrusted, Nathan to take charge of that, and another co-host. And unfortunately, that just didn't work out with other co-hosts, and so I had to come back into this. In that short time, we found Ryan, and Ryan has done a fantastic job of our producer, of being in that role, which allowed us to go from StreamYard into VMix land.
Can I give myself a horn?
You can absolutely give yourself a horn. Yes. Give yourself a horn. Yes.
Yes.
So I had taken, come back in. Ryan was here. He was helping us. And again, the workout load I have in regards to running the show, I don't have a workload anymore, which has been fantastic. I don't come in. I don't do graphics anymore. That's all handled by Ryan. Anything you see on the screen is 100% handled by Ryan. And so, which has been very, very helpful for me. So yes, again, applause there for Ryan.
Play the horn.
But the other thing too is I found in my role is that I still am missing an hour a day that I can't get back. And as much as I enjoy being on this show Monday through Friday, it's 5 hours a week that I have to focus on other areas in order to, keep the business rolling and continue to make it grow and moving the ball forward, as they say. And so I will be taking a step back again here, effectively at the end of the show today. I will not be back on this show on a regular basis. I will be here in studio in our environment. And so if I have to pop in or say a few words, I hear something I don't like, I can absolutely hop on in for a quick moment. But I am stepping away from the show because it's in good hands, right? Both Ryan and Nathan know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time. We've done over 200 episodes. Ryan's been part of probably close to 80 of them now, 90 of them. And so he knows what he's doing, and I entrust both of them to take this ship and steer it and continue to steer it in the right direction. Again, it will allow me the ability to come in if I need someone to fill. Hey, if they need someone to fill in, I can step into that role, which is great. But I'm no longer the primary, which makes things easier for me and makes our company stronger. And so, yes, I'll be stepping away from this show here starting today. I also think it's important to talk about and me and Ryan and Nate have been talking about this as well, and about kind of the evolution of our company. Yes, we started off as a soccer-centric organization and a platform. But since then, we've been called upon to call other sports and be involved in other sports. And so oftentimes on this show, what do? We spend 15 minutes talking about football.
And how the Lions are bad.
Right. And again, not that I'm trying to say I don't want to talk soccer. It just become this thing where inside the game, and there's a reason why I called it Inside the Game, because I felt at some point in time, this show could evolve into something greater than just soccer. And it didn't, we weren't like stuck between these lines, right? You start to box yourself in when you start calling yourself a soccer show. You're boxed in. You can't talk about anything else. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that in our evolution, now that we have another Roku channel that is a all sports channel, this show has been airing there since September. Yeah. And that channel right now is getting upwards of 100,000 viewers a month. And this show has done very well as a soccer-centric show on that platform. And so what we've decided to do is that we are going to make this show more than just soccer. And so we will very much talking about soccer, a bulk of it, but it allows us the opportunity to talk about other sports as well. And so Inside the Game will be changing its format to an extent to bring in additional sports coverage that allow us to talk about other sports and also allow us to engage with a bigger audience that also wants to see other sports as well. And so that's what our announcement is. And I know you guys have some things that you want to say. Is Nate, I'm trying to figure out, you're just laughing over here. I'm not sure if something I'm saying is funny
I think Nate's stoned.
Is it the
No,
coffee?
No.
Or?
You just said soccer and then like other stuff. So I was thinking about like, are we going to rename the show? I don't think it's a smart idea to rename the show, but I was just thinking like, like soccer and shit. We could just rename it that. Like you get soccer and everything else mixed in there, So I don't know. I just thought that was funny when you talked about including a bunch of other stuff. But it is true. It does get traction. And we got to talk about the teams that are around us. It's the first thing on mind, especially after this last weekend, which was just a joy, top to bottom. Doesn't matter if you're a Michigan fan, Lions fan, or a Central Michigan fan. When they lost to Toledo, Ryan Glinsky, that's a tough look.
No,
I thought
they would punch their so we're good.
They did. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, I'll give you that. But anyways, no, I'm excited, and I know that obviously that platform has taken off, and like I said, I don't really care where it is. I don't care what the platform is. I think we've grown on everything. Obviously, some places more than others, but I think we have a great setup, and I'm excited to continue churning along.
Yeah, and I also think too when we talk about like Sports Nation and that platform, my partnership group has always talked about, soccer was the most untapped place for us to start, right? It was low hanging fruit because it was untapped. It's a space that still to this day, if you talk about the streaming world, it is still a space that is not getting the love that it deserves. And that's why all of my focus and attention has always been on covering soccer.
Football.
And so that isn't going to change. We've even talked about where like, hey, because I've always felt the show should be a 2-hour show. We talked about that. We oftentimes have gone over the show. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I've always said that this should be a 2-hour show. This should be a 9 to 11 every day. And if what we could do is for the first hour, it could always be what Inside the Game's been, which is a full soccer show. And then at 10 o'clock on the dot, boom, we switch over to our all sports Inside the Game version, which we could cut it off on Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network and just be everywhere else on Sports Nation if you want to watch the all sports, go to
every day now. We're back.
We apologize about that. Go technology. With that being said, we've talked about that 2-hour, going to a 2-hour show. So that's still up in the air. But again, we just felt that it made sense for us to start talking about all sports, which would allow us to expand our audience, which also would allow us the opportunity to continue to do this for a long time. And so that's really what this is all about. What I also will say is that because of our scheduling this week, we will not be here tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. So today, this will be our last show of this week. Many reasons behind that, but we have games coming up here on Thursday and Friday in the morning that would take us away from the show anyways. And then ultimately, tomorrow, Ryan's going to be working a 12-day week. So we had to give Ryan some time to breathe. And so I didn't want Ryan to work 12 days in a row. So
I can do it if you want. It don't matter.
But with that being said, yes, you just showed something that's breaking news. It's been talked about. And it's something that I think that before we even get into that, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on these coaching moves. A lot of people have been pissed off about Lane making his move from Ole Miss to LSU and all the things around that. I know Ryan wants to get something in.
This has nothing to do with that.
Oh, all right. Well, go ahead.
Can I just say, I just want to be a college football coach for 2 games and then just get fired and then ride off in the sunset. You're telling me Jonathan Smith, who did nothing at Michigan State, still gets a $33 million buyout? Brian Kelly, who did nothing at LSU, gets a $50 million buyout? These coaches get $10 million buyouts. I want to be a college coach, get fired, do nothing, run the program into the ground, and then just get millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Ryan,
I just want to put that out there.
I told you I would love to be a catcher in the bullpen.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
That job. Let's be honest. You never make it into the game. All you do is catch, bullpen pitches, and you make I think $200,000 a year.
I think $300,000 is the league minimum.
Yeah. So I think that will be amazing. I think a third string quarterback might also be the greatest, unless but anyways, to get there, you have to actually be a good coach. I think, Ryan, that's also, I think, the prerequisite. You have to be a good coach.
I'll make my way.
And so you got to rise the ranks, create some value, and then ultimately offer that opportunity. And I don't think you want to be fired after 2 games because then you would never coach again. But
I'll get $10 million to do nothing and sit at home.
Yeah, it doesn't sound it's not like Brian Kelly is getting a check for $50 million.
And then I could just come back here and do the show with you guys.
Brian Kelly was actually going to sue LSU.
That's because Brian Kelly's a douchebag.
Then LSU backtracked and said, as long as he in good faith tries to find a new job, we will honor this. And so that he's got to attempt. It's like unemployment. He's going to attempt to find another coaching job.
He ain't finding nothing. It's Brian Kelly. No one likes him. Maybe he'll go back to like Grand Valley or something.
But my question,
they need him right now.
You were so I would say ADD about getting on the air to talk about that.
No, because I've wanted to say it, and I haven't said it yet. Not even on my own page. I haven't even said it yet, but I wanted to say it. So there you go.
No worries. All that I'm saying is this: is that is this a Lane? Now we all know that Lane Kiffin's got his issues. But we've had 10 coaches hired in like the last 4 days in the middle of the season. James Franklin was fired from Penn State 5 weeks ago. He was hired by Virginia Tech, right? Virginia Tech.
Good hire for them.
Yep. Hired by Virginia Tech in the middle of college season. All these coaches, the last games have not been played. Well, most of the last games are still, being played. Your conference championships, all those are happening this weekend. What is going on in college football that we're firing coaches in the middle of a season and hiring new coaches in the middle of a season? Isn't that in itself something that shouldn't happen?
Yeah. Yes. There needs to be some sort of controls put on this, whether it be coaches, whether it be players transferring out in the middle of the season or getting really towards the end of the line and your team's in a position to make a playoff push and you decide, well, I'm going to opt out because I'm going to hop in the portal and go elsewhere. It's getting ridiculous, especially the stuff that's happening in the middle of the season. And I understand the Brian Kelly discourse because I agree with a lot of it. But LSU, this isn't their first time pulling some shady stuff to be able to hire a head coach and get him down to LSU lickety-split. Because you remember Brian Kelly's meeting with Notre Dame when he found out that he was going to take over the coaching role. What was it, all of 10 seconds? And then he was out of there, and they still had games let to be played. So this isn't the first time LSU has done this. And I think it's important to mention, and this is why money talks. And if you want to say that money has destroyed college athletics and it continues to deteriorate college athletics, I would agree to a certain extent because I think the amount of money that's floating around is just getting ridiculous. And again, the NCAA is not capable of putting a system in place that creates a level playing field for all schools involved because Ole Miss got screwed. Let's just say it how it is. But they couldn't offer him what LSU could because LSU's a bigger brand. They gave him, it's actually in his salary, they're going to match what he would have made if he would have made the national championship game and won an SEC title. Those bonuses he would have gotten from Ole Miss, LSU's we already got that built in to what we're going to pay you here at LSU. And so the big brand programs are just able to push their weight around. Michigan is another one of those programs, and I'm not ashamed to admit it as a Michigan fan. They're another one of those programs that has that kind of pull. But I think LSU's taken it to a new extreme. And even Nick Saban said it on college pregame, which I always find it fascinating to listen to Saban talk about needing controls on certain things. You weren't, pulling some strings to get some recruits back in your day. But either way, I think he's completely right. Whether it be players leaving in the middle of the season, whether it be coaches leaving in the middle of the season, you went 11-1 this year. You have a chance to go to a national championship game and win a national championship game. And you're just gone overnight.
Well, that's Ole Miss's fault. Ole Miss gave him an ultimatum.
No. Well, I get
Lane
it, but they couldn't.
Asked if he could coach the playoff, and Ole Miss said no. So what are you supposed to do at that point?
Well, he's going to leave after the season anyways.
So if you're going to leave at the end of the season anyway, and Ole Miss is going to kick you out, you just leave. I mean, he has shady. I imagine
LSU gave him an ultimatum too because they didn't allow Brian Kelly to continue coaching Notre Dame. They wanted him down there that night.
Yeah, but at the same time, you
if
can't
not the
blame
next
Lane when
morning.
he has ultimatums in front of him. He's got to make a decision.
No, I'm not blaming Lane. I would take the money. 100,000%.
Well, but then
I would
Lane.
take the
But
money.
here's the thing: Lane stood up there and goes, "I don't even know how much I'm making."
That's a lie.
He
It's
stood
Lane
up there and
Kiffin,
goes,
bro.
"I don't.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't even
a lie.
ask that question." Which again, I mean, wow. I guess that. I just wish people would be a little more honest when it comes to this stuff, right? Yeah, I looked at it. It's a lot of money. I'm excited about the money, but I'm excited to be here to coach. You know, it's like, oh, well, then just do it for free, then, Lane. This is your dream job. You should do it for free. You know what? Why? That to be fair, it just doesn't disingenuous and fake as shit. But the reason I asked this question is because we can. Transfer portal was created for players to find a pathway to go to new places. Make things easier for everyone involved, but really it benefited the player. The transfer portal really benefits the player. And why? Because for the longest time, we talked about this. College coaches walk into your house, you're 16, 17 years old, and they're like, yeah, you're going to start, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get that. And all these kind of like promises are never kept, and players are left going, they're holding the bag. They put their entire life into this bag, and the coach is the one controlling it, right? And so we created a transfer portal so the players could go do what they wanted to do if those promises weren't being kept, and they felt the need to go someplace else. Then, magically, NIL was created. And now what happens? You've got all these players who are making buku dollars everywhere. And what happens in NIL land now? Well, now I transfer to a school who I know is going to pay me more money. And so it isn't about winning a championship. It's about making more money, which, again, I'm not opposed to. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not opposed to players making more money. I'm just saying that you've created this shit show of a storm where, to be fair, this is worse than the professional. I mean, players in the professional ranks can't do this shit. It's like a free-for-all, wild, wild west in the NCAA right now, and players are doing whatever the hell they want. Why? Because coaches could leave. Coaches could come into your living room and say, I want you to be on my team. And then 6 months later, a matter of fact, Brian Kelly was at a recruitment dinner. He was eating food when he got the phone call from LSU that you got the job.
Hell yeah.
Right? He was sitting there eating dinner, trying to get this player to come to Notre Dame while accepting the phone call out in the driveway for the LSU job. So what would a player? So you don't blame the player for wanting to find greener pastures when the coach is doing it already. He's been doing it for 30 years. But now what do we have? Now we have coaches saying, well, how do I win a championship? It used to have 4 or 5 years to build one. Now I've got 2 weeks. Yeah. I've got 2 weeks to build a championship team. You know?
And that's why, like, even when Michigan goes, when they go 9-3 this year, there's just no excuse.
Yeah.
Not in the NIL era.
And to be fair, that is the conundrum. And so who do you blame? Do you blame coach? Do you blame schools? Do you blame players?
The NCAA.
You know, well, I mean, NCAA, absolutely. But but if we look at college football specifically, they have these windows. College football, which is its own thing within the NCAA, has its window. When should a coach be, just like we know every year in the NFL, it's Black Friday, or Black Monday. What's it called, Black Monday? When all the, last day of the season, last Sunday, that next Monday, every coach is getting fired. Every coach, that's the day. We all know they're getting fired. But up until that point, I don't think a coach in the NFL is allowed to have conversations with other teams if they're currently employed. Like you can't. There's like you cannot talk to other teams.
You got to get approved. I'm pretty sure.
Approved. So it's like, and head coaches specifically aren't doing that. Why is this even being allowed? Like you have to wait until after the end of the season, and if your team is still in it, you cannot have a conversation until the end.
No, they are not allowed to talk to teams. They must get the other. So if the Lions were to, so someone wants to hire Kelvin Shepherd, the Lions have to give approval for that.
See that why isn't that in college? And to be fair,
it's Wild Wild West.
There's no Rooney Rule either in college, right? And in the NFL, you are required to interview minority coaches for that position. Now, some leagues have adopted it and said, "Hey, we want or conferences have in fact adopted it, but that's not a rule in the in the NCAA. So there's no like, hey, it's again, if this coach is available, I'm going after and getting him, right? Which leads us to Coach, Pat Fitzgerald, former Northwestern coach, accused of being involved in the whole hazing incident. He was cleared of any wrongdoing in that. As if coaches don't know what's going on. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do that in finger quotes. He didn't know, but anyways, he's now the new head coach of Michigan State. A school,
and he's the real deal.
That's had a lot of issues over the years with scandals.
Yeah.
And you're bringing someone in that's just fresh off a scandal.
That was my first thought process. I'm like, guys,
this is a school.
I don't think you can survive another one, guys.
It's just been scandal after scandal at that university, and they're bringing in a coach who hasn't coached in 2 years, who was just cleared of any wrongdoing 3 months ago?
Probably.
So, I find it to be quite odd. But hey, man, I guess we're gonna see how it all shapes up. It can't get any worse in regards to how they play. So I guess it's all uphill from here.
Big Ten win.
Trust me, he's gonna have a lot. He's gonna have a lot more resources and support at a place like Michigan State than he does at Northwestern. And he brought Northwestern to a Big Ten championship game. People tend to forget about that.
That's the
but
Big
he brought
Ten
the
West.
Cats.
The Big
all the
Ten
way,
West.
dude. He brought them to a Big Ten champion. He brought Northwestern to a Big Ten championship game.
And got this guy both, but okay,
won a lot of games, beat Michigan a couple of times. Of course, it's Ohio State, dude. Come on. He's a great coach. I'm excited to see what he can do at MSU.
Hey, just as long as no one's getting wedgies, being taped to flagpoles.
He ain't doing the wedgies.
Well, hazing, right? It's like, I find it hard to believe that a coach doesn't know what's happening on his own football team.
I just find it ironic. Because the whole Harbaugh situation and how MSU has a guy who didn't know what's going on. I all find it funny now.
It is, but hey, congratulations. I think we need a lot more Jonathan's coaching though than not, and we just lost Jonathan Smith at MSU. The poor Jonathan it's another Jonathan who got fired.
Got whacked, man.
It's like, man, unbelievable. But yeah, anyways, just a very, very interesting time right now in college athletics, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Because if you don't have regulation, again, that wild, wild west is exactly what it is. And I do think that there's something to be said about if you're going to sign, because we talked about this when it came to youth players when they sign their club contracts about playing high school soccer, right? Well, if you committed to playing for your club team, you should not. If it says you have to be able to be full all year round and you can't play high school, well, then we should be honoring that. You should be honoring that contract. That's what you signed off on. And the same thing is true in college. If before you say and get so excited, and you make that commitment photo and you go out to the world and say, "Hey, I've committed to this university," make sure it's the right decision. You don't want to have to change. But we've created this environment in this country where you don't have to honor your commitment and you can change and go wherever you want to go. That's all we've done. If you're a young athlete in today's world and you're playing football and you're a sophomore or junior, you know exactly what you can do. You know that you can go commit to a university and after 3 months or 6 months be off on the next one, and you can do that 4 times if you wanted to.
Yeah,
that's what we're teaching our kids. And so for me, that's extremely frustrating and it's wrong. And this is the first time I'm going to say, hey, Congress should step in and get involved in the NCAA or change something in regards to that. Yeah, that has to be regulated. Huh?
You ever wonder why nobody takes the NCAA seriously unless it favors them?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could count a single Ohio State or Michigan State fan that cares about the NCAA unless, of course, it comes to punishing Michigan. That's the only time they take them as a legitimate organization.
And to be fair, the punishment they gave Michigan was a slap on the wrist. It meant nothing.
Right.
And the whole scheme of things, that it was all for show.
Right.
Because again,
it was
if you look at universities like Michigan, Ohio State, they're like gold. They're like in the golden circle, right? They're like, Alabama would be in there, right? These types of universities are in this golden circle, or as what they said in the Parent, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, the circle of trust. Right?
Yeah.
You're in the circle of trust. Like those they're in the circle of trust, and we're gonna make it look like there's a big punishment coming down, guys. Hang on, we're gonna here it is. Oh, okay. Thank you. You know, like no, but if that was any other school, they would be banned for like 20 years. You know, it's like, you know, you're gonna vacate your wins for the last 30 years, and you can't play. You're done. I mean, so there's something to be said about being in that circle. You're right. It's nobody can take this the NCAA and the governing body seriously, because it's not serious. Because if it was serious, these things wouldn't be a thing. We wouldn't be talking about Lane Kiffin in the middle of a season leaving his post to go to a job that he doesn't have to coach in right now. Like legit, there's no coaching taking place. So it's like he's going to a place where he'll sit in an office and do nothing for a period of time until he goes. Because let's be honest, your recruitment, as much as it's about Lane Kiffin, it's about everybody underneath you. Your assistant coaches, your coordinators, that is their job. Their job is to go out there and find these players. Lane Kiffin's job is to close it. That's his job. And so I don't like it. It's terrible. It's time for question of the day, though, Ryan, on number 200.
Yeah, we're 6 minutes over.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 2 hours, right?
Salt Athletic, official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code Edison15, save 15% off. That number one spell-proof cleat bag that works. Scan that QR code or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, because I thought we would get to it, but we didn't. Favorite moment on the show? And 200.
Ooh. Man, yeah, I'll give you the moment where I laughed the hardest. Yeah. When JT felt the need to call Bianca into the room because he felt like we were giving him a hard time about the turkey thing, so he needed a second opinion.
Turkey still
was yelling across the studio at Bianca to come in here. That cracked me up, man. That was so funny.
I actually heard.
So yeah, that was a good moment.
I actually heard someone saying the other day, like, you know, I think it was Aziz Ansari said something. He's like, yeah, turkey is so great that you only want to have it one day a year.
That's so true. That's so true.
It's like it's the greatest meal you've ever had, but you only want to have it one day a year. I thought that was an interesting take on it. That might upset my wife. I don't know. But either way, my favorite moment on the show. I mean, there's probably a lot of moments. I think for me, it'd be in the interviews that we have had with special guests, and we've had a lot of them, and so I'm going to put the interviews into a bucket and just say that I've had fun having that, especially watching Ryan as he was like that we had so many interviews over the course of like a 3-week period that he was literally smoking, trying to figure out how to manage them all, and so that was a fun time. So I would say the interviews.
I will say, no, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Oh, I will say, as someone who literally when we had Alexi Lalas on the show, I think I was there maybe all of like a year with you and like only watching soccer seriously for that span of time that I was here at the show. Not obviously I've watched a lot of international games and like here or there, but like not as in depth as obviously now that I'm with the company. But talking to Alexi Lalas in that situation, someone who obviously is a little polarizing in the media, but someone who played for the U.S. men's national team and sharing his personal experiences about being the first player to go overseas and hosting the World Cup here and how that led to the formation of the MLS. That's probably another one of my favorite moments on the show so far.
Mine would be Lewis Robinson just roasting me for being a Michigan or CMU grad. I thought that was a funny one, and the funniest part is I literally gave him his flowers. I was like, yeah, I broadcast your game last year. Really impressed with the way that you guys play, all this, and this. And he's like, well, you couldn't get into Western. And I was like, what? Come on, man. But no, that was all fun and jokes.
While we were doing our question today, we got a question coming in from Jackson Stevens asking about Major Arena Soccer League and what is your thoughts on Utica City FC. Now, put things in perspective, Utica City last year, I think they finished 6th in the regular season. 24 games played, 13 wins, 9 losses, 2 of which were on OT, 41 total points. I mean, the MASL is a completely different league this year. They had 12 teams last year. They've got 8 this year. Chihuahua Savage won 3 years in a row, is gone. Right? And so I think about that. This is a team that everybody did not want to face come playoff time. And for the first time in 4 years, you're going to have a new champion in the MASL. And so I would imagine that's probably got a lot of teams excited. Right? You can take those losses that you had last year to Chihuahua, and you could probably split them somewhere and say, I'm going to get 2 or 3 more wins this year, 4 more wins this year than I got last year based on that alone. And so Utica being 6th last year, and again, thinking about who also is no longer there, right? Ahead of them was Chihuahua Savage. Below them was Empire and St. Louis and Tacoma. The Dallas Sidekicks, Texas Outlaws, and Harrisburg Heat aren't even in the MASL this year, right? And so the top 6 go. So the top 6 will make it to the playoffs. So Utica City, I mean, they have a very good chance to finish in the top 5. And then once you get in the playoffs, anything is possible. And so and they have their first game, I believe it's this weekend. They play at 3:00 on Sunday against Kansas City, who, started off last week, on fire. They beat St. Louis 2 games. They're 2-0 now, and in that I-70 series. And so they'll face the Comets on Sunday at 3:00. You can watch those games, obviously, on the National Soccer Network. And right now, just based on how Kansas City's playing, I'm not saying my money's on KC. I'm just saying that right now, KC looks really, really good. They would come into that game with already having 3 games under their belt. So I would put my money on Kansas City this weekend, beating Utica. But again, a lot can happen during this season. So I'm hoping that answers his question. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if the Dodgers disappeared overnight.
Yeah.
Like everybody's going to have their chance. And so I remember saying a couple of different times last year, because I think Utica was a streaky team, that they could potentially be a dark horse in the postseason. And obviously anybody stacked up against, even San Diego has been consistently very good. You know, you go back the last 5-6 years, it's been San Diego or Chihuahua. So, you know, I think the field is wide open now. I think they are a streaky team, but we'll see how it plays out.
200 is officially in the books. Our 2nd episode is done. Inside the Game will continue on. We talked about this. We'll be back here next Monday here on December, the 8th is when it will return. We do have a special edition, a special show coming up here on Friday. It'll be hosted here by Nathan Wangler. It will be the live drawing of the FIFA World Cup coming up here on Friday morning, and Nathan will help guide you through that here on our network, so you can tune in at 11 o'clock Eastern here on the National Soccer Network, and he will bring you his feedback and talk through what's going on in regards to the World Cup draw here on Friday. But for all of us here at the National Soccer Network and Inside the Game, we appreciate you stepping on by. Don't forget to subscribe, like us, share this with your friends and family. Ryan Glinsky, our producer. That's Nathan Wangler. And for one final time here on Inside the Game, my name is Jonathan Turner. We'll be back here next week, Monday, with an all-new edition of Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.